Hi my friend, it's Pat Sloan here for it is Christmas and University Day. So it's all the trimmings, the free sew along, mystery sew along from the Fat Quarter Shop that we're doing, and Cross Stitch University. So we got those two things and a couple others to show you. So let's do all the trimmings first, because this week's row is darling. It is so darling. Teeny weeny little stockings. Oh well, they're not that small, but they're small stockings. If they were real stockings about that size, they'd be pretty small, right? You could hang them all along your railing. So cute. Okay, let me show you mine. I am using the Christmas morning fabric, which is just so darling. Look here, this one. There's like this sweater print. See that? Isn't that cute on the top and the bottom? What is so fun is there are a lot of lights in this one. So using this sort of medium gray that came with the line, I'm able to get those lights to pop, which I really like. I like the look of that. Picture of all these is over at my website today too. The link is below, and while you're there, hit subscribe. Mwah! Then we can be friends, and you will always know when I have something new. Okay, here's a really pretty stripe. There's a bunch of stripes in here, which are also fairly light background, and so those are awesome to pair in with everything. And then a floral, the white one, and it comes in red and a few other colors. There's that sweater print again. Now, because we're using a layer cake for this, there are pieces that are not getting used, and I think I will take all of those and make one of my zigzag table runners, or maybe switch the half square triangles around so that it makes some other design, but make a little table runner that will go along with this quilt. I think that would be really cute. Probably have enough to make a pillow too. So these already is wide, and then you'll do another single strip which goes on the front of the whole sequence of them, and then that row can be sewn below the holly berries. So there you go. So you get 2 rows done. That I really recommend you do that you get the rows done and sew them together, because by the end then your top is pretty much done. You don't all of a sudden have to go and put all those things together, which I really like working like that. Okay, we're going to stay on Christmas before we go to Cross Stitch University, because I got the Oh My Stars in Christopher Thomason's Christmas fabric. Holly Jolly, I think is what it's called. Has the Santa face. Here we go. So I've got that top done. I'm going to show you what I did. So here's the Oh My Stars. Ta-da! Isn't it great? I just love it. It can go on the pile. I think I'm just going to have to send this to the spa. Everything has to go to the spa right now because I'm still working on that book and I can't do any quilting. So anything else. And these I sewed while I was sewing other things. So it's not like I took time out. I just had it on the wall, and as I was doing starts and stops on the other patchwork, I would just sew sections of it. And it went together in between that. So you can do that too. You know, you don't have to sew, you can make like 2 quilts at a time. All right, I made the border wider because that print is so deep. I needed to make the border wider. It's actually 5 inches, I think, or 6 inches. It might be 6 inches. So what I did is I just made it as wide as it's supposed to be and kept the length. So like when I did the stars, it's 5 inches wide because these are 5-inch charm pack squares, and then I just made it as the length that it needed to be for the border. So that worked out pretty good. Now I need to pick a backing for it, and my wide backs are not in yet. They're coming in October, my Harmony wide backs. So I thought I'd show you 2 of them that I think colors would work, like this green. So the wide back is extra wide fabric so that you don't have to do so much piecing of your backing. You can just buy a whole the yardage that'll just work fine. And I think this green works really well with the green of the stars. Whoops, there you go. See, they're pretty close. So that's pretty much a perfect match. I also have black, which in the fabric that came in early, I actually have enough black that I can do this now without waiting for more to come in and send it off to the spa. So the black is nice because there's several black fabrics in it. You know, the black squares. We've got the black with the trees on it, the black with the holly. So I might just use the black because I have it and I can send it off. I am going to find out though from the warehouse if the green is in, if there's some more green. If they have some, I'll have them send it to me. And I thought you might like to see what I had left of the border fabric when I finished. I thought this is kind of fun to look at because I was cutting strips very specifically, which luckily, being that width that I used, there was really not much waste. I just could kind of go from one to the next row because I made it wide to fit the repeat of the fabric. So here is what I have left. So not that much. I could use it for binding, but I'm not going to because I want to use a green for binding. I just think because the border's wider, it would pop really nice. If I had done a 3-inch border, I probably would have used this for the binding. But there we go. And then I did have a couple of extra strips, you know, so like this. And I'll link you below to Christopher's fabric. And then I had a few like this. And wait, there's more. I had some, I kept some of the scraps from the sew and flip of the stars, and look at this. Now I could go, I think I kept all of those star points, but I didn't think of it about doing a block until I was done. So I might go and see if I can, where I put the other ones, and I could do 4 of these and they could be a pillow to go with the quilt. Wouldn't that be cute? Or, you know, a table mat. I think that is so pretty because there's definitely enough fabric. I just need to grab the star points. The star points though might not all be against red because of how these ones all came from the star that went out into the border. All the other star points won't be red backgrounds. They would be something else. So they may not work so much for this, but that one will. And I could just even do just a little mug rug with it because it's so pretty. That big rose is so pretty. All right, let's do Cross Stitch University. Dun, dun, dun. So I listened to the video on Monday, and I learned 2 things. I wrote them down to tell you that I did not know, because as many of us do with many things that we learn, we just sort of jump in. I know I do. I just sort of jump in and start doing, and then I start learning some of the basics afterwards. After you get bad habits. I'm trying not to get too many bad habits. I'm kind of far into this. You know, I've been doing this for like 2 years, but really heavily this year. Because last year when I broke both my wrists, I had to stop for 6 months. Well, about 8 months, I couldn't really do any cross stitch. So, you know, I kind of had to start over again about in February of this year. So here is the project, and I'm going to get it ready to stitch. One thing I learned is which end to pull the thread from on your skein. Now, I can tell you I have been using this kind of floss since I was a little girl. Of course, nobody tells you these things then, or maybe even figured it out. But apparently if you pull it from the numbered end rather than the logo end, it spools off nicely. You don't get as many tangles and things like that. And I'm sure that's how, you know, determined by how it's wrapped at the manufacturer. So that is interesting to learn. And the other thing was to, when you start getting the threads sort of get ravelly or like curly, or maybe getting knots too often, to unthread it, smooth them out, and rethread it. And I'm like, oh, why didn't I think of that? That's kind of a, it seems like a no-brainer, right? But when you're in the middle of doing something, you don't always stop and think of the logical thing. You just keep going. It'll turn out fine. It'll stop getting all tangled up. And also there's beeswax and different things you can use. I haven't really ever used any of those. So I've got my needle minder and the floss biddies so that I'm ready, because here is my sheet. And the assignment this week is to do the 2 outer borders, the gray and the, what is it, teal, the gray and the teal border. Now that scares me. I'm gonna be really honest, that scares me because I don't do so well counting. It's hard for me. I will count and then I will lose track and then I'll have to count again and again and again and again. So the counting part, doing an outer border first is like, am I going to count it right? You know, I can do 2 sides and then I can double check in case I need more or need to take some out. I would, on my own, do those last after I did the middle, because then I know how big it is and I have visuals to work with. And I don't have to depend that I lost track counting or didn't, or counted, you know, missed one as I was counting across. I also thought it was, you know, I finally learned, it was English and Norwegian way of the stitch. One is you do like go across and then come back, and the other was you do 1 X at a time. I like to go across and come back unless the thread is variegated, because if the thread is variegated, you don't always get this nice colorway if you go across and come back. The variegation is different because of where it's placed, so I kind of like it 1 at a time. I also am not going to use a frame because I found that since I've been doing this, playing around with the cross stitch for about 3 years now, I found if I use the frame, if I can't rock it, I have to rock it like I was appliquing or doing embroidery. I have to rock the needle. If I have to stab, I won't do it. I just won't do it. So there we go. I've got my bag ready, so I can put everything in the bag. I've got the pretty little butterfly pull, and I marked my cloth to say that, see there, I marked my cloth to say that I took out an 11-inch square. So that is gone from here. So I know I'm going to put this in with my other cloths that I have, but I wanted to mark it so that I didn't, you know, expect it to be a full cloth. I'm so organized, I'm scaring myself. I'm scaring myself. That's crazy. So I got a little bit more done on this monthly. I think the top of this little house looks like an acorn. I'm going to show you the here, and I'm working on the words now. But the top of the house, look at it. See, it's got like a checkerboard. Doesn't that make it look like an acorn? I don't know. That's where my brain goes. So I think it's super cute. And if possible, I'm going to put the binding on this guy, because he's ready. So I might get, I'm going to leave it out, so maybe late tonight. Binding on the machine doesn't take a lot of brain power, so I could maybe do it late tonight. All right, my friend, Cross Stitch University, and be sure that you also then go make all my trimming stockings. Do 4 cute little stockings today and make your row up. I love you. Mwah. See you online.